Everybody, welcome back to my channel once again. So in today's video I'm going to show you how we can paint simple leaves with simple one stroke technique. We need to understand 4 key points to understand this particular technique, which is very simple and very easy. Even for beginners, you just need practice. So keep practicing this particular technique and you can paint different kind of flowers and different kind of leaves. So let's start with today's video. So you can grab a piece of paper or maybe a watercolor sheet, does not necessary what kind of watercolor sheet you are using, and different brush from different size and brand you can take. I'm using two different brand, two different sizes, and I also have one mop brush, so you can use anything. So I'm going to start with a bigger brush. You can do the same thing with smaller brush as well. The concept and technique is same, does not matter which size you are using. So each brush has one pointed end. So first thing about one stroke technique is pressure. So let's understand it. So without applying any pressure, just use the tip of your brush, the pointed end of your brush, and try to paint something like this. So we are not applying any kind of pressure, and slowly we are trying to create some fine lines like this. We are purposefully doing this with bigger brush to understand how much pressure we need into our brush. You can do the same thing with smaller brush as well, but try to do it with bigger brush to make yourself more comfortable with one stroke technique. Now apply little pressure to create thicker line. So I'm applying little pressure into my brush and I'm getting thicker line like this. So you will automatically understand how much pressure you need for how much thickness. Now let's do the same thing one more time but with more pressure. So I have applied more pressure into my brush, and as you can see, the more thicker line I'm getting. The less pressure, less thicker line. So it depends on how much pressure you are applying into your brush. So practice this thing a lot to understand how much pressure you need for how big element you wanted to create. So more pressure, more thicker line, less pressure, less thicker line, no pressure, a fine line. So you can paint anything with bigger brush. Now let's do the same thing with a smaller brush, and you can repeat the same thing what we did with the bigger brush and you will get the similar result. The only difference is you might not get a very thick line with a smaller brush, but we also have something which we can achieve with smaller brush itself. So the concept is same: more pressure, more thicker line, less pressure, less thicker line. And as you can see, we are almost getting similar result what we have done with the first set. The only difference is we are not getting the thickest line that we have painted with the bigger brush. So now the first thing you have understood is all about pressure. The more pressure, more thicker element you can create. Now let's understand the movement. So you need to move your brush in a different direction, or maybe in a straight direction, but when to release. So apply pressure into the middle and then release slowly to get pointed end both the side. So I'm not applying any pressure when I am starting, and then in the middle I'm applying pressure and then releasing slowly. So you will end up getting a leaf kind of shape, as you can see, and repeat the same thing in a straight line. You don't have to move your brush, but do it in a straight line and practice this thing a lot, like applying pressure, releasing slowly, applying pressure, releasing slowly. So in this video we are talking about leaves, but same thing is also applied for flowers as well. So different kind of petals you can create using simple one stroke technique like we are using for leaves. So practice this thing a lot in a straight line first and create small leaf kind of structure like this. Now you can do the same thing to create longer element like lily leaves. So do the same thing, start with less pressure, then apply pressure and drag your brush little longer and then release slowly. Drag your brush little longer and then release slowly. Same thing what we did in the previous stroke, but this time we are moving our brush little longer to create longer leaf. So that's the only difference, and we can get something like this. So whenever you try to create longer leaf, you can drag your brush little longer and then release slowly to get one pointed end. So this is all about a simple leaf having pointed end. So you can create something like this. Now let's talk about second thing, which is movement. So you can move your brush in a different direction to create different kind of leaf or different perspective of leaf. So you can create a pencil mark in a different angle and direction like this, just to guide yourself, or you can do these things directly with the help of brush also. But if you are a beginner, you can create a pencil mark and then go in that particular direction. So likewise, you can create leaves in a different direction. First, you can start with straight leaf, and then you can move your brush in a round kind of shape to get different perspective of leaves. So you will get different perspective of leaves, different kind of leaves, tilted, twisted leaf, just moving your brush in a different angle. So this is the second thing, which is movement. So now you have understand how much pressure you need and in which direction you need to move your brush. So let's do the another practice. So create curve line like this with the help of pencil first if you are a beginner, and then repeat the same thing what we did in the straight line, but this time we are going to move our brush towards upward direction, applying pressure and then moving towards downward direction, releasing slowly to get a leaf kind of shape. So I'm applying pressure in the middle and then moving downward direction and then releasing slowly. So you will get something like this. You can see my brush is taking all pressure in the middle and then I'm releasing slowly to get a pointed end, and something like this you can create at the end. So practice this thing a lot if you want to make yourself comfortable with the one stroke technique. Now let's repeat the same thing for downward direction, and you will get something like this. So applying pressure in the middle, releasing slowly when you are moving towards upward direction. So when you practice these two strokes a lot, you will get comfortable creating a bigger leaf with smaller brush itself. So let's create a big leaf with two stroke technique. So you need to combine these two strokes together. So I'm creating one from upward to downward direction and one from downward to upward direction, combining these things together to create bigger leaf. So either you can choose big brush to paint something like this, or you can do the same thing with smaller brush as well. The only difference is I'm applying too much pressure to get thicker line to paint bigger leaves like this. Now when we combine these things together, we are able to create a fine, nice leaf, and then you can do the same thing for longer leaves as well. So combining two strokes together, you will get something like this. Now with the same concept, you can combine multiple strokes together to create bigger leaf, and you can also create some serration into the leaf. So I'm combining 3 to 4 strokes together. One is bigger, then I'm creating smaller strokes to create something like this, or else you can create random strokes to create random pattern into your leaf. So by this particular technique, you can get serration into your leaf. Also, you can create different kind of leaf altogether. So the combination is a lot. You can try different permutation, different combination to create something like this. So first is all about pressure. You need to understand how much pressure you need. Second is all about movement, in which direction you want to move. Third is all about dragging your brush little longer to create longer leaves, shorter leaves. And fourth is all about composition, like what kind of composition you need into your leaf and sometimes we combine leaves together to create a bigger leaf. So let's try different type of leaves now, because now we have understood what is one stroke technique. So apply all the things that you have understand and then create multiple leaf kind of pattern. So my first leaf is about no pressure, so I'm not applying any kind of pressure. I'm only using tip of my brush to create a branch kind of leaf. This leaf you have seen in the cosmos flower, so something like this you can create without applying any pressure. Now in the second one, I'm applying little pressure. I'm using 1/3 of my brush and creating longer leaves like this. You can utilize this in different kind of flower. Now in the third one, I'm applying more pressure and releasing slowly to get little thicker and longer leaves, and then you can move in a different direction to create different perspective of leaves. In this one, I have created a middle string, and then I'm creating a small leaves around it. Now let's do the another one. This one is like a palm leaf, but this one is similar to what we did in the second one, but we composing this thing together to create one single leaf but having multiple leaves into it. Now let's create something bigger. So combine two strokes together. Now you have understood what needs to be done. It is quite simple to understand if you have understood about one stroke technique. Now let's create smaller leaf. So I'm using only 1/3 of my brush, creating a small leaf like this. Now you can try rounded leaves as well. I'm starting from one point and coming back to the same point to create an oval kind of shape. And I think this one is also quite interesting. You can utilize this to create flower petals as well. So you can create rounded leaves like this. Now let's try serrated leaves. So I'm creating longer stroke like this, and then let's combine multiple strokes. All these strokes are close to each other, like overlapping, because my intention is to create only one leaf having serration into it. You can keep the strokes random, smaller, bigger, longer, to get different kind of serrations. So you can get fine serration, you can get deep serration, combining multiple strokes together to create only one leaf having bigger in size and having serration into it. Now same thing you can do keeping these strokes at distance. So you will get one leaf but deep serrated leaf, wherein you can see all the leaves are separated from each other. Now let's talk about composition. So we are going to create similar stroke, but this time we are composing it in a string. You can also divide your string into substring. So first one, I'm creating oval kind of leaf, but the composition is different. Now you can create fine longer leaves having less pressure into your stroke, but this time again I am combining these things in a string to create a palm leaf or coconut leaf. Now you can divide your string into substring, and then you can create smaller leaf like this to create a different kind of leaf altogether. And then you can also move your brush in a zigzag manner to create little wavy pattern around your leaves. So this is all about one stroke technique. I'm hoping this video is helpful for you guys. Please do let me know if you have any kind of feedback for me, and thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next video.